In today's video, we're going to talk about working step 1, focusing on the symptoms and bringing this step to life. If you're interested in working the steps of financial UA with us, I want to invite you to click that subscribe button and also to click the notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time Financial UA posts a new video and you can be one of the first people to see it. So without delay, let's start talking about step 1. Hey, welcome. My name is Jay from Baltimore, Maryland, and I want to welcome you to the Financial UA General Service Office. So come on in and grab a seat, and let's get this meeting started. All right, so you're ready to start working step 1 formally. Up to now, I've offered you several suggestions and several positive actions that you may consider taking. All of those things help you to build a foundation so that now when you're ready to formally start working step 1, you have a very solid foundation of recovery on which to build your program. You've had a chance already to review our Getting Started Working the Steps video in Financial UA. If you'd like to see that video, you can click right here. I assume you've also had the opportunity to build your recovery council and to select an area in your home to convert into your recovery shrine or your recovery laboratory, however you want to refer to it. But essentially, it's a dedicated space in your home where you can do your recovery work without interruption and with a minimum of distractions, so that you can have your recovery council in place and also have your recovery pen, your recovery notebook, and also your Financial UA 12-step workbook. If you're interested in seeing the video about getting your recovery council and your recovery space prepared, please click here to watch this video. I assume you also have had the opportunity to pick your Financial UA home group, either the Tuesday Women's Step Working Workshop or the Friday Step Working Workshop, which is a co-ed workshop. These two workshops will give you a safe space to talk about your step work journey, and both of these workshops are facilitated by qualified temporary sponsors who can help to guide you through the step work process and all of the exercises and positive actions that you'll begin taking with me, your temporary sponsor just for today. Also in your home group, either group that you've chosen, ideally you will have chosen a service position. You can pick any service position just as long as you find a way to be of service to that group, because trusted servants recover faster. And by doing service in that group, you are part of the trusted servant team, and all of you together are working and cooperating to make your home group the best, most successful home group possible. Keeping in mind that when your home group is successful, you are successful. That you get to share in the success of your home group, and you get to share in the success that all the other members of your home group are having as they make breakthroughs in their spiritual process or in their financial process. Let's start talking about your step 1 exercises. If you turn to your Financial UA Step Work workbook, you'll find a section called Step 1 Symptoms. At the top of the page, you'll see a gentle suggestion where it is encouraged that you might consider working with a temporary qualified Financial UA sponsor until such time as you can work one-on-one in a more committed relationship with the sponsor that you choose. The importance of having a sponsor and also a home group that is very step work focused is so that you will have a place to talk about and unpackage all of the realizations and all of the breakthroughs, all of the spiritual awakenings that you have as you begin working the steps. So you need a place to be able to talk about and process what it is you're learning. For step 1, the symptoms, the very first thing I would like for you to consider doing is to answer the question, what makes you think you belong in Financial UA? Now, this is a very simple writing exercise. It does not need to take a long period of time, maybe just a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, or really whatever your spirit leads you to write about. You write about what makes you think you belong in financial UA, because only you can determine whether or not you are a financial under-earner, and if you are, naturally you're in the right place to recover from that issue. But some people are still uncertain as to whether or not they really belong here. The best way to decide if you are a financial under-earner and if you belong in the financial UA program is to simply tell yourself your own story. And after you tell yourself your own story, if you can sit back and listen to your story, it's pretty obvious that you're going to be able to tell whether or not you financially under-earn and whether or not this is a spiritual illness that you've struggled with. If so, you are in the right place. So go ahead and write about your struggle with financial under-earning. Write about what makes you believe you belong in financial UA. And when you're done with that portion of the assignment, I want to encourage you to share about what you wrote with your temporary sponsor, and also to take that writing portion to a financial UA step work workshop and use your 3 minutes to share about what you have written. That way you can present it in a spiritual space so that you can process what you discovered about yourself, and you also give everybody else in attendance the opportunity to learn from and identify with your struggle. Because as you figure out whether or not you are a financial under-earner, and as you share about your process of realization, other people can learn from you and realize for themselves whether or not they are financial under-earners. Remember, recovery is always about the process of identification, where I listen to your story and it allows me to identify with you rather than you telling me about myself. The focus always is that you tell me about yourself, and that allows me to identify into your story. And that way I'll never raise my shields or raise my defenses, because I would never feel that you are pointing the finger at me. Rather, instead, as you share about yourself, you are pointing your finger at yourself. And when you point your finger at yourself, you're also inviting other people to come listen to you share. Does that make sense? The next assignment that I'd like for you to consider is to take your recovery notebook and look at the financialua.org website, click on the page relating to the symptoms, and handwrite in your notebook each of the symptoms. We currently have 15 symptoms, so write each one of them by hand in your prosperity notebook using your prosperity pen. And as you write out each of those 15 symptoms, I know that in the Financial UA workbook it says 13 symptoms, but as of September 2019, we currently do have 15 symptoms. So go ahead and write out all 15. But as you write each of these symptoms, take the time to sit with the symptom and reflect on it, meditate on that symptom, and in your meditation, you can realize for yourself whether or not that symptom applies to you. Once you have identified which of those symptoms apply to you, I would like for you to write 2 examples of each of those symptoms and how they showed up in your personal life. So, for example, if you pick the symptom of prosperity deflection, saying no to money rather than saying yes to money, you would reflect on your life and pick 2 examples from your life that help to illustrate this symptom of prosperity deflection. So very quickly, I'll give you an example. When I was a child, I used to mow the grass of my neighbors, and sometimes the neighbors would come out and hand me money. And as a child, I always felt really awkward about accepting money from strangers. Even if I did a service for them, I just felt awkward about being paid for my worth and for my effort. So I would always refuse the money and just do the work but never accept the payment. So that, from my history, is an example of prosperity deflection. I deflected money that was offered to me. I said no to money instead of saying yes. After you've written out your examples of each of the symptoms with which you identify, I'd like to encourage you to get the numbers of 5 members of Financial UA. And over the course of the next week, I would like for you to consider calling each of those 5 members and have a discussion with them about the symptoms with which you identify. Now again, we have 15 symptoms. You may perhaps only identify with 6 of the symptoms. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to identify with all of them. Just pick the ones that speak to you personally. So if you, for example, have 6 of the symptoms that you relate with, then as you make these 5 phone calls to other members, share with them and have a conversation about the symptoms, and perhaps share about those symptoms with which you identify, and share about the examples of how those symptoms relate to you. This gives you an opportunity to start building relationships and network with other members in the program, and it gives you the opportunity to allow other people to receive your share in a spiritual space. One suggestion I do have as you make that phone call, you might consider, once you get the other person on the line, asking if they would be willing to say the prosperity prayer with you on the phone to help to create and hold the space so that when you do share about your symptoms, it feels clean, it feels safe, and it feels healthy. It's always nice to be able to do your sharing within a space that you feel your higher power and also hopefully your earning power is present in that space with you. As you share about your symptoms with other members in Financial UA, I encourage you to have your prosperity notebook handy so that either during the call or maybe after the call, if you have any realizations or aha moments, I would encourage you to write those down in your notebook, because the process of calling people and sharing and receiving shares is a really educational process, both in terms of information and also in terms of the sharing of spiritual energy back and forth with another recovering person. When we share our spiritual energy back and forth, it very frequently triggers us in a positive way to have spiritual realizations or aha moments. When you do have these aha moments, I would encourage you to write them down in your notebook so that you can remember them and then share about these deeper realizations during a Financial UA meeting or workshop. And again, when you share about your breakthroughs in a workshop or a meeting of Financial UA, all the other people who are in attendance can learn from your experience, they can learn from your realizations, and that allows them to grow and heal just as you are growing and healing. Remember, recovery is a team sport. When one person wins in the process, everybody wins in the process. If you realize as you're working this process that you have other symptoms that perhaps are not listed on the Financial UA website, but these may be symptoms that you personally recognize that relate to your financial under-earning, I would encourage you to write down those symptoms as well, because Financial UA is an evolving 12-step fellowship, meaning that more will be revealed as the experience of our members expands, as we have more people join Financial UA, work the program, and become qualified sponsors. Their experience adds to the experience of the whole fellowship, and we recover more, we realize more, and then the program expands more. By this point, you've probably done a lot of writing, and you've made several phone calls to share about your process. What I encourage you to consider at this point is to just sit for a moment, connect with your higher power and your earning power, and ask the question, is there anything else that you want to show me about these symptoms? What that is, that itself is a prayer. It's a way for you to communicate with your higher power to say, hey, I've realized a lot of things about myself, but maybe there's still a few more things that I can't quite become aware of. Is there any way, higher power, that you could bring those extra things to my attention? Because right now I'm in the place of trying to identify as many of my financial under-earning symptoms as possible so that I can begin to get healing around them. But in all 12-step programs, we practice the idea, what they call the 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. So to begin our recovery journey, first we become aware of our issue. And a great way to become aware of the issue is to ask your higher power to create a situation in your life or to bring some new experiences into your life that help to really bring to your attention that you have a particular symptom or you have a certain issue. It's almost as if your higher power will hold the mirror up to you so you can look into this spiritual mirror and discover things about yourself. Now it's time for our 7th tradition. Every financial UA meeting ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. There are no dues or fees for financial UA membership. All of our meetings and workshops are completely free to attend, both over the phone and face-to-face. Please keep in mind that we do have expenses, such as covering the costs of our website, developing new literature, and maintaining our service office. If you would like to make a 7th tradition donation, you can click the PayPal link below or visit our website at financialua.org and click the donate button. You may also support this program by purchasing a copy of our Financial UA 12-Step Workbook or our Financial UA 12 Traditions Workbook. Also, you can help us carry the message by subscribing to this channel, and even by sharing this video with your sponsor or your sponsee. Lastly, please consider clicking that like button. A big thumbs up for service. I also call this stirring the pot, where I ask my higher power to reach deep down and help me bring issues that are buried deep, bring them up to the surface so that I can see them clearly and become more aware of them. And then I can begin shining the light of recovery on these issues to become aware of them, to accept them, and then start taking some positive actions to turn those issues over to a fellowship that is appropriate to deal with them. The next suggestion I'd like to offer you is to take some time writing in your prosperity notebook, answering the question, what might your life look like if you were set free from all of the symptoms of financial under-earning? Now, this is an imagination exercise. In fact, you might even consult with your recovery counsel to ask them to help you. What would your life possibly look like if you did not have any of the symptoms of financial under-earning? What would your life look like if you were thriving and prospering based on what you know now and based on the healing and recovery that you might have if you did not have this illness blocking you and dragging you down with each step you take? What would it look like to be free from the chains of your disease? Go ahead and write about that in your notebook. Write about what your life would look like. What would your life feel like if you were set free from the symptoms? Now that you've done a lot of writing and a lot of phone calls focusing on becoming more aware of your symptoms of financial under-earning, I'd like to encourage you to just take a moment to appreciate yourself for all of the hard work and dedication that you have put towards your recovery from financial under-earning. Clearly, you've taken a lot of actions. You've watched a couple videos, you've attended several meetings, you've connected with your higher power, and also perhaps have worked with a temporary sponsor, or even myself as your virtual temporary sponsor, just for today. But still, each one of these actions are positive actions. Each one of these actions represent a very small risk that you have taken to turn over the part of yourself that is wounded, as you're moving towards a place where you feel prosperous and recovered, where you feel the healing that comes along with prosperity and abundance, being able to feel connected to your higher power, and being able to abundantly channel your earning power. What would it look like to reward yourself for all of the positive actions you've taken? Once you take a little time to reflect on what your reward could look like, I would encourage you to share your reward with a temporary sponsor, and perhaps even share it inside of one of the STEP workshops or in any of the other financial UA meetings. To always share about your process, always share about your journey, what you're realizing, the actions you're taking, the experiences you're having, the realizations that are occurring to you, and also how you get closure on the step work by giving yourself a reward for all of your hard work and dedication. As we move towards closure, please visit us at www.financialua.org or email us at financialua@gmail.com. Let's close with our prosperity prayer. God, grant us a serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, the wisdom to know the difference, and the prosperity to afford it. Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for joining us and helping us to create and hold this space for healing and recovery. Please help us carry the message by subscribing to our channel and maybe sharing this video with others. And most importantly, keep coming back. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.
God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, wisdom to know the difference, and the prosperity